Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to award-winning author Lynda Filler. Lynda recently won Book Talk Radio Club's Best in Contemporary Fiction for Target in the Sun. But today we'll be chatting about her newly published novel, Lie to Me, an exposé on sex for money. Hi, Lynda. First of all, welcome, and thank you for coming back on Book Talk Radio Club.
Oh, thank you, Claire. I'm excited to be here.
So, Lynda, before we talk about Lie to Me, how has this year been for you, book-wise, of course?
Well, I've been super busy, Claire. I produced Love the Beat Goes On, a memoir on healing that received a lot of really great editorial reviews and was selected Book of the Month in October. And, of course, was a finalist for book cover, best cover for Book Talk Radio Club. Mm-hmm. And I published a novella and 2 novels, and I'm working on a 5th novella. So I've been busy.
Definitely busy. Lie to Me is an exposé on sex for money, which, as we know, is prostitution, the oldest profession in the world. But your book is about the rich women that pay young men for sex. What was the thought behind that?
Well, I've lived in Puerto Vallarta for many years now, certainly 15 years solid, and was visiting here before that. And over the years, I've come in contact with different people with different stories, and it's always been a subject that interested me. It's definitely a sultry, sexy place to vacation. And over the years, I've met young and middle-aged men who have their regular tours that they wine and dine and help make Puerto Vallarta a very special experience. So if you can imagine a spa vacation with a twist in this case, which is sex, that's what sometimes Puerto Vallarta can be for a lot of women. And it's not necessarily rich women. It's sometimes just busy women and people who don't want to have relationships, like serious relationships in their life. And they come down here to, like a guy would say, let off a little bit of steam, right?
Fair enough.
I know, right?
Tell Book Talk Radio Club's listeners about Layla Duncan, the main character of the book.
Well, Layla Duncan is a divorcee. And she writes stories for women's magazines, and she's just kind of fed up with the same old, 10 ways to do this and 10 ways to do that. And she decides to take decides to take a break, and she's always been fascinated with the anonymity of sex for money. It was quite a surprise for her when she realized that male prostitution was not about a man on man. She had always assumed that male prostitutes went to men.
Oh, right.
She didn't realize what a market there was for women who wished to explore that part of their lives. So the subject just captivated her, and of course she became involved in the psyche of the men who sell and the women who choose to pay for sex. So that was in the book there are stories of women who explain their reasoning behind their decisions, their choices. It's quite a fascinating subject.
It sounds like it. You live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and Lie to Me is set in Puerto Vallarta. I can imagine with a slight twinge of envy, you visiting the nightclubs in Puerto Vallarta, interviewing all these hot guys. What kind of research did you have to do for this book?
That's good. That's very good. Actually, I tell you, Claire, I really have to promise that I never admit to any of my work being autobiographical. But I get asked all the time if any of my stories are based on truth. This one, unfortunately, very little of it is based on my own personal experiences, but my research started with a fellow named Angel, and he was an angel, and he's a legendary character who's been giving sensual foot massages in the romantic zone on the beach forever. He's in his 40s, and he's extremely successful financially. And it's from his relationships with various women that come back year after year and book their time off with Angel. So he really opened my eyes to what was going on here. So in the book, Layla reveals she finds herself as a writer questioning her own value system in kind of an exciting yet slightly disturbing way. Mm-hmm. So the story is told by both men and women who pay for sex, one of the ultimate female fantasies, I guess.
It sounds fascinating. Your novel,
it is fascinating.
Your novel, Target in the Sun, recently won Best in Contemporary Fiction. What would you like to tell Book Talk Radio Club's listeners about the book?
Well, first of all, when I started writing all these stories, I never saw myself as a romance writer or I guess what we would call the contemporary genre. I thought of myself more as a mystery writer.
Okay.
So it was quite a surprise to me when I started writing about relationships in such an in-depth way. And of course, that's a genre that I'm really, really comfortable with right now, right?
Mm.
But it is a really great story, and actually is based on the true story of a young man who struggles with the heart-wrenching prospect of a life of loneliness and sadness because he's involved in a family who are involved in the drug cartels here in Mexico. So he does meet an older woman, and they fall in love, which is completely insane because there's such a big difference in their ages. But together they attempt to escape the dangerous drug underworld trafficking with the help of an FBI agent named Lucia. So the search of belonging is what this book is about, and the troubles that they go through and the dangerous journey. But it's set in the Mexican Riviera and the heat of the coastal nightclubs. It's a very sexy book. It's a very cool book. And thank you, Book Talk Club Radio, because that book, of course, won the best in contemporary fiction, and all of us are thrilled, including me and Carlos.
You're quite a prolific writer of fiction in the contemporary romantic and suspense genre, and it's been said the author's style is reminiscent of Clive Cussler, Lee Charles, or Baldacci. What do you say to that?
Well, that was one of my very, very, very first readers who said that.
Okay.
And I was beyond thrilled because Lee Childs is my number one author. I would say that my style, I really, if I emulate anyone, it's the way Lee Childs writes.
Mm-hmm.
I devour his stories. I love his simplistic style of writing. It's simple, clean, uncomplicated. Mm. And my editor and I occasionally disagree on grammar. She, of course, follows the rules, and I write the way I talk, and I talk a lot. So it's a great combination, right?
Mm. It is, definitely. And you're a poet too, and your poetry has been described as urban style poetry. What is urban style poetry?
Well, I've always known it was urban style poetry, but I actually looked up the definition for you in the Urban Dictionary. Mm-hmm. And the Urban Dictionary says it's a poem with no descriptions of nature. All urban poetry has true life experiences through people. Oh. And urban poetry evokes thoughts through the human experience without transcendence at the moment of the experience. It's just thoughts. It's just like beat poetry, right? The urban poet always sees finality, and when you die, you die. In urban poetry, when you love, it's real at the moment. Your love never turns into flowers and drifts into the heavens. And that's, I would call it raw writing.
Right.
Just straight from the heart or the soul or anger or whatever the emotion is at the moment. That's how I write my poetry.
You recently published Love, The Beat Goes On, which is a personal account of how you dealt with being told to get your affairs in order as your heart condition was incurable. The book certainly evoked a strong emotional reaction from the reviews you've received so far, many readers finding your story inspirational. Do you envisage writing any more about this experience, or do you think you've said all you can on the subject?
Well, I had that discussion today with someone who wants to write a memoir, and she's also in the same age bracket as I am, and I said to her, it's impossible to take 60 or 70 years of your life and summarize it in one book.
Yeah.
So really, right? So what I found with this book is I needed to get this particular aspect in time in my life, what led up to it, and how I fixed the health issue that I had, and my philosophy on life. But that's one very small section of my life. Now what I'm finding is I've acquired quite a following of people who can't believe that I'm 70 years old. They just cannot believe it. So I will definitely I'm going to do a short series on what it means to be a woman of 70 today. I mean, if this is old age, I still feel like I'm 35, so bring it on,
I can't believe you're nearly 70 either.
I know, nobody does. I have quite a following on Quora, and I have one piece I wrote about my age with my photograph, and I've had over close to 300,000 people have viewed it.
Oh my goodness.
The world needs role models that are real people, not movie stars.
Oh, absolutely, right? Totally.
To aspire to their energy or whatever you want to call it. So yes, so I'm very excited about doing that.
Oh, I bet. So what's next?
Right now, there's a follow-up on Target to the Sun. There is a third book in the series that I started and put aside. Also the series on nonfiction, which will be something like Sexy and 70 and all that entails, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one I'm actually working on right now will start in London and in Cape Town, and it'll be number 5 in my thriller genre for the Jet series.
Fantastic.
So that's an exclusive series that I do for Amazon Kindle World, and that will be my 14th book, and it'll be out by mid-February.
Wow.
So I have nothing going on, Claire.
No. You obviously got nothing going on. I can see that.
No. No time for parents this winter.
So where can Book Talk Radio Club listeners purchase Lie to Me and your other books?
Okay, so everything that I write, I do exclusively for Amazon Books. So it can either be Kindle ebook downloaded or purchased in paperback. And you can find me at my website on Amazon. Lynda Filler Books, I guess, is on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Just Lynda with a Y. Or Lynda Filler WordPress, which is my personal. And, of course, I'm all over Facebook, as you and I both know. So thank you for that, Claire.
Sure. Well, thank you, Lynda. That was great. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club when you've published your next umpteen million books. I'd love to. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, happy holidays and a successful 2018. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you, Lynda.
Okay, thanks so much, Claire. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, there you go. Thanks ever so much.